Hello and welcome to another game analysis video for Blood Bowl. Before we get started, just to say as always, this is not meant to be an example of perfect Blood Bowl. It's just a case of talking through a game, talking about decisions that I thought I made right and some that I did wrong, and just trying to explain the thought process behind some what you do in a Blood Bowl game. As always, if you like this video, please press like and subscribe. You can also check out my Patreon for patron exclusive material, including World Cup guides and stuff like that. Okay, let's get started. We have an Orc versus Orc game to start with, and we have two rookie teams, so no skills on either side. And I have decided to kick to start the game. Don't worry too much about the setup. I got a phone call halfway through, so I just leave it as it was. Okay, so always try and kick first if possible. As a general rule, it makes it easier to control the game. You know what's at half time, you know what the score is, and you can decide whether to score quickly or to try and take the 8 turns. Okay, so a couple of brief things here. My opponents put Black Orcs on the line to block rather than block blitzers, which is probably not ideal. You probably want to be blocking with your block players rather than with your higher strength players if they don't have block. This is I'm going to say I can see a lot of people doing with Orcs. They just think, well, the big strong guy, I'll hit with him, whereas it's quite easy to get an assist in and you can just block with the block guys. Second thing is not covering the ball, although it is quite deep. It's probably best just to put one guy next to it.
Another chance to see some blood.
Okay, so it's fair the ball, but it's got a nice little protection up here, so it doesn't have to worry too much about me trying to get to it. Okay, so what I'm going to try and do here is he hasn't put too many guys in contact, so I'm just going to try and line up a defence and then just stop him making any progress. Against a slow team like Orcs, it's quite a reasonable thing to try and achieve. There's not much chance of them dodging through your line, and so setting up a line defence makes sense. So what I'm doing here is moving all my players before I roll the dice, so single dice to 10, which will be the blitz. And as I said before, I'm using the block player to do it, even though it requires an extra assist. So the blitzes come here because I wanted to get all of my players out of contact, so not giving any free blocks up. So this one guy, if he stood up, would be in contact with the Black Orc, so I'm getting rid of that Black Orc. That means all 11 of my players are not in a position to be blocked next turn. Okay, so I've put the two Black Orcs here on the line, on the edge, where it's a lot harder for my opponent to get through if he wanted to come down the sidelines, which wouldn't be a great idea, but if he did, then it's a lot harder with the strength 4 guys on the outside. Also, whilst it may seem a bit counterintuitive, having slow guys like that on the very outside is actually okay, because he is so slow that he's never going to get back around the middle, so there's no point having him here with their attention bringing back around the middle should something change in the game state, because he's too slow to achieve that. So having the blitzer there instead means that he's got like a reach of 7 compared to being there, as opposed to him who's got a reach of 5. So it's much better to have one with the strong guys on the outside and then a faster guy here in the middle just to come back round here, which may seem counterintuitive, but you have to acknowledge or accept when some players just aren't going to get back involved should they need to come around on all concentrate on one side of the pitch, so you don't have to worry about that. So my opponent is just trying to cover this the pickup, which is fine. Okay, it's failed again, but again he's not used the reroll to pick up, which is absolutely sensible. There's no need to be wasting rerolls on that. Okay, and so because my opponent has shifted slightly over to this left-hand side of the pitch, I am able to slightly shift my players over in the same way. So, okay, so a couple of things here. Again, I want to make sure all of my 11 players are out of contact, which means blitzing away this guy. Unfortunately, because of the position of this guy, I'm not going to be able to do that with a blitzer this turn, so it's going to have to be a Black Orc to blitz this Black Orc, which means putting this lineman here. Now this isn't ideal, I don't really want to do this, but it protects against the Black Orc failing again on this blitz, so 1 in 9ing, and me not using to want to use a reroll, or 1 in 81ing. So because the Black Orc is there, and this guy can't reach without I go for it, so ideally I want the line to be flat, so the player to be where the Black Orc is, but I can't do that without moving the Black Orc first, which obviously there's no point mitigating against him failing if I can't move the guy first. So in this case I'm going to have a slightly weaker position with the guy set back 1 square, but that's better than the other option of not having anybody there at all. Okay, and so what I'm going to do here on the right hand side of the pitch is try to squeeze my opponent in. So this is a very common tactic or idea when you're defending against well, against any team, but particularly useful against slower teams or just normal not elf teams, is try and squeeze them onto one side of the pitch. So you have your flat line across on the turn 1 like I did there, and then if they sort of squeeze back into the middle, then just try and have the line curve round, line of your defence curve round like this, and each turn just try and drag them, push them further and further back into the middle, and so that you're defending a smaller and smaller part of the pitch. The smaller the area that they can break through, the more work all of your players can do. Having this guy forward as well is also threatening the ball, but that's not too much of a priority because with me being Orcs, the chances of me doing crazy ball grabbing shenanigans are quite low. Okay, so that's the 4th pickup my opponent's failed there, but it's not the end of the world. He's not going to suffer too much from it. But okay, as you can see here, this is a great example of the use or the value of just a line defense. I'm getting my 2 dice blocks without having to move too many players, and he cannot commit all of his players to pressuring the line because he still has to have some players back to defend or protect the ball. As you can see, 3 turns in, he's not going anywhere. And as I mentioned before, with the squeeze, I'm trying to push him back in on this side. So I've got a nice defence lined up here, you can't get through there, and then just try and squeeze him back round into the middle on the other side. Getting a strength 4 guy up here against a strength 3 guy, so that's one of my guys in contact, but if he brings 2 players around to assist there, then that's a good numerical advantage elsewhere in the pitch for this turn. So again, just trying to squeeze him through. Should have pushed back next to him. You want a prone player next to a standing player if you can. Opponent's finally got the ball. And having to move backwards to protect it, which is great for me.
In these conditions, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I think that's fine. It's a bit dicey, but you might as well. So again, I've got my... So, with this defence, I'm not worried about rolling too many dice, so I'm quite happy with all the positions where these guys are. So I'm starting my blitz with a guy without block. So you may think that's slightly risky, but because I'm not going to do anything else this turn, I'm quite happy to just do that now. My opponent's not going anywhere, I don't need to do anything differently, don't need to roll any dice, don't need to change my plan. My plan is working, so I'm just going to keep on doing exactly the same thing. Unfortunately, used a reroll. I didn't get the knockdown, but never mind. So I can squeeze these guys over a little bit and not weaken the defence at all. So I've got 2x2, everybody with no gaps for people to go through. So the reason we're doing it this way is that There's only gaps of 1 between the two sets of players, which means that even if one player gets blitzed through, then there's still there's still tackle zones for people to walk through, and they're set together with 2s rather than on their own, so that people so they're assisting each other should my opponent want to blitz against them. So you can see we're getting this squeeze quite nicely. We're just curving this defense around the side, just trying to squeeze my opponent back, and eventually, if everything goes to plan, end up on the sideline somewhere. Okay, so what I've done here is I'm not going to block with this guy. I've used my reroll, and I don't want this strength 4 player falling over. Strength 4 player stood next to a strength 3 player is absolutely fine as a defensive tool, but I'm put this extra guy in here as well, just as an extra option to block next turn. So more players against, so it's a point of strength here against a point of weakness, a lineman. So just pushing against this line, and this guy and this guy now covering this guy. The Orcs aren't going to come through here very much. And finally, last thing I want to do is just tag up the ball carrier. Unfortunately, Go For It fails, but if I'd got both of those Go For It's, which I wouldn't have rerolled even if I had failed, it's just putting extra pressure on the ball carrier without really doing anything crazy. I don't need to be trying to blitz the ball carrier 1 dice, don't need to be rolling dice myself. My opponent's not going anywhere. I'm just going to put on little bits of pressure and make extra little dice rolls he has to make whilst maintaining my defense. So my opponent has finally got the ball in a cage, and so he's going to try and make some forward momentum. Even dodging out some Orcs to do so, but fair enough. Okay, so that's absolutely fine. I haven't overcommitted too far on this side of the pitch, so I can bring guys round to get assists. Unfortunately, that block has been a little bit unfortunate. Block on non-block. Ideally, that would, if I got that down, I could have got these 2 Black Orcs back round to the form defence. But again, I started off with this guy because I lined up all these blocks and thought about them and realised that I could get a 2 dice block on every single player if I started with this action. So although this is starting with a non-bot player, it's preferable because I can get 2 dice blocks all along the line. Same again here, 2 dice blocks, 2 dice blocks. Fortunately, using a reroll on that guy, it's fine. Okay, so I've managed to, over here, push back everybody, keep them all out of contact on my guys, so my defense is quite solid here. But unfortunately, with this block not working, it's slightly weaker in the centre. But all of my guys are still hovering around here. This just should be able to come back around quite easily to cover if required. Okay, so it looks here like my opponent is gonna make a breakaway rather than trying to form a cage, which is likely to work in my favour. I'm almost certainly going to be able to get a blitz on the ball carrier next turn. It's just a case of not rolling some 1s on Go For It, I believe, but that could still fail. So start of the turn, I've lined up who's going to get over and who's going to make the blitz roll, and I've noticed that I need one extra player, so I can just chain push this guy out. So get one of my agility 3 faster players away from the slow strength 4 players that are bogged down over here. Just getting back involved over here where the ball is, important part. So moving the assist over here. So get this throw back before I roll any dice, just in case. Mark this guy as well. Strength, the blitzer is a trouble, who's a potential problem next turn for me. Okay, so as I said, go for it was a problem, but unfortunately reroll worked and I still got the guy down. So that's all good. And then another one in 9 with the Black Orc, and he dies as well, or gets badly hurt. So that's not too cool. It's a bit unfortunate. I think I've rolled more blocks on my opponent at this stage by a significant margin, but still my guy's dead. But hey ho, that's Blood Bowl. Yeah, I'm not sure this was the right thing. My opponent's turn 7, but I don't think he's realised. But I think even if he had, then that he wasn't in a particularly great position. And as we can see here, he's not put anybody in scoring range on his turn 7. But even if he had moved this guy around here, I had multiple players free to blitz him. So what I'm going to do here is I know that my opponent can't score, almost certainly. I don't think there's any crazy chain pushes on even. So I'm just going to set myself up for a potential turn 8 score. I know I've got no rerolls left, so I'm not going to do anything crazy this turn, just set up for a potential long shot or a touchdown next turn. So just get a guy in range before I roll any dice, and then just make sure, just put some pressure on these guys, and hopefully there'll be a blitz on the ball carrier and my thrower can do some passing shenanigans. Turn 8. Finally, once all the important dice rolls are made, I decided to dodge this guy. There was a chance that he could get surfed next turn. There's no point leaving that for no reason. And having an extra blitz around where the ball carrier is, that's also just good anyway. So get here and assist this 2 dice block. This area of the pitch is even better controlled by my Orcs. Yeah, again, this is another example of my opponent not actually noticing what turn it is. It's going to be there's a dodge roll coming up here. It's completely unnecessary and with no rerolls, so it's a 1 in 3 chance of just giving me the ball. Yeah, it worked. Yeah, probably should have stood that guy up first, even if you weren't going to try the block. So, well, nothing to lose really. With I'm a 9 player, so I went for a long shot touchdown. Didn't work, but that's fine. Quite normal. 0-0 at half time. Quite happy with that. Even though I am 1 player down, but fingers crossed, I should be able to do all right in the second half and score a winning touchdown. in 8 turns, hopefully. So, as I said at the beginning of the game, by kicking, I now know what the score is, what the situation of the game is. So on my drive, I know that I can try and control the clock and then try and score in 8 turns. Sometimes if you start by receiving and then you play out your 8-turn drive and score, that puts the ball back in your opponent's court, so they know that they can just drive for 8 turns themselves and just take the draw, and that can be out of your hands much of the time. Scoring is it's relatively common an occurrence for a good player. So 1-1 is a very common scoreline between two good players. Okay, so I've got this setup here. So as opposed to what my opponent did on his first turn, I've got my blitzers lined up on the line of scrimmage to block his players rather than the blockers. That's because they have block, and that's going to hopefully save me rerolls and increase the chance of getting knockdowns. So it's a double advantage there. This setup here, I've got throw back here to get the ball should it land anywhere near him or deep. I don't have to get it that turn, but I can just move back next to it. And I've got these linemen here who can try and get the ball should it land like somewhere really nasty like that where the thrower can't get to it on turn 1. And these two guys are set up here like this to try and defend against the blitz should the ball land somewhere here or here, somewhere like this. Okay, and there we go, and a blitz is rolled. Great. Okay, so this is absolutely catastrophic in a Orc vs Orcs game when you're one player down. My opponent is quite correctly just putting everybody in contact, causing me lots of trouble. So against this is curtains against most players with most dice rolls. This is about as bad as a kickoff result can be. Yep. So that's absolutely that's great for my opponent. He's marked as many players as he possibly can, including this blitzer, who's one of the most mobile guys I've got back here. So yeah, he's really put me under a lot of pressure there. I'm just going to try and have to do what I can to try and not lose the line of scrimmage completely. Like, I don't want to get completely swamped over here, and it's just going to need to push back a little bit on the line. Got one guy back to try and cover the ball. So I took that 1 dice to block there to try and open up some other blocks. Well, I'm in a terrible position, so I have to do something, and that's just a 2-up roll basically. So anything but a skull is going to free up other players for 2 dice blocks. So in that situation, just have to take that kind of thing on. So you can see 2 dice block there. It's giving me a little bit more security on one part of the line, and then unfortunately I roll a 1 in 9 into a double skull. And yeah, getting Mega Blitz and then rolling a 1 in 81 is not going to help if you're Orcs. Didn't even get a chance to pick the ball up. So yeah, this is bad. So we're just going to have to try and keep in the game somehow and see what we can do. Not give it up prematurely, but it's looking really bad. Yeah, this is sensible from my opponent. He's just taking some blocks early on. Marking this thrower is a very sensible thing to do. Just trying to... he doesn't have to go for broke against the ball immediately. He can just build pressure on the line of scrimmage. Just give me no opportunity to get out of this situation. If he just abandons his advantage on the line, that gives me a chance of getting back in the game. But just continuing to bully this line of scrimmage where he has the advantage, he's basically stopping me from having any outs. Yeah, I'm, as an Orc team, I can't be doing crazy elf dodging plays. Might come up once, but it's not something you can do over and over again.
The attacker has an assist.
Yeah, not looking very good at all. Not good at all. So I want to get this thrower back onto the ball. So I'm going to have to use my blitz to free him up.
He'll get an assist now.
So I'm just trying to, at this point, not burn my rerolls. I'm pretty sure my rerolls are going to be really important in this drive. So I'm not going to do anything too crazy, like dodging this guy out. I'm just going to be happy taking that 2-dice block at this point. Just trying to somehow stay in the game. There's a potential that was a mistake. I thought long and hard about this actually. I could have taken that, not stood this guy up, and then taken this 1 dice on here, and then he could have got up and moved here to mark him to stop the potential blitz on the ball carrier next turn. I thought long and hard about that, but then I realised that these 2 guys would probably be free regardless. And so it's not really achieving a great deal if I just mark this guy to free this guy up. It's maybe saving me a turn. As I said, just trying to get any small group of players on this line that aren't on the backs, having been beaten up by the other Orcs.
Right next to a teammate.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's left this fairly easy blitz on the ball carrier. So I have to have a think about my previous turn because I think this is too easy an opportunity. Last turn might have been the turn to do some crazy stuff. Try and get out of the situation, but there weren't a lot of options, fortunately. Oof, a bit more dodging from my opponent. I think maybe the block would have been preferable there. So if you just blocked this lineman here, then next turn he could have got one of these 2 blitzers back around this side anyway without having to make the dodge roll, but hey, it worked. So fortunately this guy was free, so I could bring him back round here. So yeah, just having to roll some dice now. So this is the time I've saved what rerolls I can, and now I'm gonna have to try and do something. He's going to score next turn unless I do something crazy, so this dodge is not too difficult. And then, right, so I did a dodge and then a pickup with this guy. You may be thinking, oh, that's quite risky, it's not a very common thing for you to do, Joe, but we're in a situation now where I'm in a horrible place. Like, the chances of me getting anything out of this game at all are just so low, it's unreal. I'm just going to have to roll some dice. I'm going to have to do what I can to make it as hard as possible for him to score. Just staying there and waiting to get blocked and him just picking the ball up, it's just going to be too easy. So just got to do something. Roll some dice. Luckily it worked. Again, he's going to serve if he stays there anyway. So I just went for a 1 dice. So I've got to do something. And continued on that vein here, but unfortunately failed this skull. But yeah, the time for being passive has passed. So the first half is a long way away. We're going to be rolling dice this half. So yeah, this is an example of just trying to stay in the game. So I've had that previous turn where I've just rolled some dice and hoped for the best, and that's given me one more turn where he hasn't blitzed the ball carrier. So he decided to try and pressure him instead, which just gives me one turn of just breathing space. Okay, so again, he's yeah. So this is good from my opponent. He's pinning this guy in here rather than just trying to roll some dice to try and get a blitz. He's just putting me under real pressure, real nasty situation. So trying to make me roll the dice, which is good. So he's rolling a lot of dice though, so eventually something's in general. So eventually that's caught up with him there. Right, so this is the turn. I'm absolutely screwed. I'm in a terrible position. So this is the turn to do something to try and win the game if we can. I don't think there's going to be much chance of getting a 0-0 draw from this situation, so we need to get the ball away from my end zone and potentially in a scoring position. So using the blitz here in a maybe an unusual position, but I've spied a little chain push I can do to try and get the ball carrier out, or in a position where he can dodge once. So I can do a 2-dice block there, and then this guy's free. So, lucky enough to get the 1-dice power there, and then this guy can come out and do a pass action. So, we're in a situation now where we've just got to do something, get the ball away from the danger zone. And lucky enough, it worked. So, we're down here. Looking like we might even have a chance of winning the game, whereas before we were looking like a death cert loss. That was just an example of just trying to stay in it, and then when you see the opportunity, you've got to realise that it's never going to get better, never going to get any better than that. Now the good thing about doing that against Orcs, as it has been done to me already, is that if you get that to work, then these guys are all out position. But unfortunately, he dodged a black up to get the ball down. So the Nuffles having a field day for both teams. It's crazy game. Okay, I'm not sure I would use my last reroll on that, but he's got away with it and got away with that dodge as well, so fair enough. But we're in a much better place than we were before. The ball and scrum here is a lot better than the ball and scrum here, so that is a delight. So yeah, I can't really get the ball free this turn, so I'm just going to blitz with this guy, get another black hawk next to it, and then hope the next turn I can do my best. Unfortunately, my blitzers are not as good at dodging as the physician orcs. But yeah, we're in a really reasonably good position here. I don't think he's going to be able to get away with the ball too easily this turn. Luckily enough, he finally fails a block with his Black Orcs. And that gives me a shot. Gives me a chance. So just try and take some safe moves first. With no rerolls left. there's nothing else that can happen here. Just got to try and go for this block and pick up with the rerolls, and then make a run for it. Just trying to keep the rest of these guys pinned around back here, out of the play. And I was a bit worried about his Black Orc dodging last turn, so I've moved this guy around here, where he both prevents the Black Orc from dodging out here, but is also free himself to move next turn should I need to get an assist or something. Okay, so this is it's a good plan from my opponent. He's got no rerolls left either, and so just getting somebody on the ball is going to cause me some problems. Make me reroll some dice. There wasn't much more I could do there. This makes sense. Fortunately, he's not that guy. That's good. Now I'm in trouble. So, yeah. Don't roll any dice. Just get these guys up off the floor, get them back involved. This guy can still potentially score, so I'm going to continue marking him. And then, okay, so why have I blitzed rather than dodged with this guy? That's because it's less likely to fail, and then this is the exact dice roll that is a reason for that. So it's a 3-up to either push him back or to dodge away, but it's a 2-up not to turn over if I block, rather than still a 3-up if I dodge. So there's a 1 or a 2 on the dodge means I fall over and lose the ball, but only a 1 or a skull on the block means that I turn over. So I can take this block and then maybe dodge if I want to afterwards, or maybe not. I think I'm going to stick. So I've just decided to stay there and hope that next turn I get another chance. We've both got no rerolls left. I think that may have been a mistake, because you'll soon see how easy it is for my opponent to get a guy around here for the block. But, well, I mean, no, so it was a 4-up and a 2-up. So, I mean, that's okay. That's not too bad a leave when this situation. My turn 16, same odds again. And that's it. I've somehow managed to get a win or a touchdown out of this situation. That's about the end of the game. My opponent doesn't one turn. He doesn't have a goblin. Can't do it with movement 6. So that was it. It finished 1-0 to me. Good example of the first half is a really good example of like static defense. I'm just trying to play passively, and then also we discussed the squeeze, trying to squeeze in background into one side of the pitch rather than having to defend across the whole width of the pitch for the whole 8 turns. So gradually just pushing him back into the centre on one side, so that, as we say, we've got a narrower part of the pitch to defend. The second half was an absolute disaster dice rise, but we just tried to stay in it as much as we could, and then when we spotted the opportunity to try and get something out of the game, we went for it, rather than just continuing to be passive. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please press like and subscribe. And as always, check out my Patreon. Thank you very much.